we're all three-dimensional beings, right? We got up, down, left, right, forward and backward. But if you try and think of a four-dimensional world, it's hard. Sometimes, because I don't know either, and I like to think about these questions as well. I wonder, maybe there is a clear-cut answer. We're just not intellectually advanced enough to understand that answer.
Shalom, I am Samuel D. Spoonhour. What is your name, sir?
Kevin Turner.
All right, it's nice to meet you. So, what do you think happens after someone dies? What are your thoughts?
So my thought is that that's just it. Lights out, your whatever electrical energy exists in your body just dissipates into the surrounding area, just like if you discharge static electricity from a sweater. That's what keeps your heart and your brain going, supposedly. And I don't really believe in any sort of afterlife. I was raised Catholic, but since the age of 14, I've decided that's not the way for me to go. Power to those who do, but not for me. So I believe we come into existence and we leave existence, and mainly because nobody else has any idea that's convinced me further, like other than that. Like that's like I've looked into other religions besides Catholicism, and they didn't answer any questions that I thought Catholicism left unanswered. So I decided that until I see some better evidence, that just nothing happens, and that's all I got.
So, do you consider yourself atheist or agnostic?
I would consider myself an atheist.
Okay. So you don't believe in a God?
Correct.
Okay. So just take this question with a little bit of thought. Okay. Do you believe in the scientific impossibility that nothing created everything? Do you believe that?
No, I would have to say that everything always was, just the form it takes is what changes. Okay. That's kind of what I would look at that as.
I'm saying more along the lines of like origin of the universe, because even if we say that matter and energy are eternal, that doesn't technically work because of the way that the natural laws are, with physics. If you look at the way gravity works, it's not just by chance, it's really consistent, right? If you look at the way that the planets move and align, it's really hard to say that nothing created it all, right? Like nothing was the thing that actually created everything.
Okay, I suppose so. But even if we were to take the other side of things, say there was a God before there was anything else, what created him? That's still a possibility then in that.
First cause, uncaused cause. Okay, and so the being that Aristotle pointed to was an uncaused cause, and he thought the universe was eternal, right? But he even said that there still has to be someone that upholds all natural law, someone beyond physics and science and the rules to actually keep them in order, right?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there could still just be the possibility that this is a question beyond the human intellect even. Because, I truly don't know. If I had the answers, I'd probably be doing something more than walking around Madison, right? We all would be, right?
Right.
But maybe taking an analogy here that's maybe a little easier to understand, we're all three-dimensional beings, right? We got up, down, left, right, forward and backward. But if you try and think of a four-dimensional world, right, it's hard. And if we were two-dimensional beings and, you had a sheet of paper and you stuck your hand through the sheet of paper, they wouldn't understand that you have a hand. They would just see points and then circles and then another big circle. So sometimes, because I don't know either, and I like to think about these questions as well, I wonder, maybe there is a clear-cut answer. We're just not intellectually advanced enough to understand that answer. I don't think science has the answer as to what happened before the Big Bang, or is it a cycle of contractions and expansions? They don't know, and I just also think any religion I've ever encountered doesn't know either. So I wonder then if just human beings haven't come to understand. You figure like an ant doesn't know nuclear physics. They can't make a bomb. They can't harness energy off of it.
Right.
Not because it doesn't exist, but because they're not advanced enough to understand it. So I wonder if we're the same way. Like, well, it's not that there aren't answers to it. We just don't know because we don't have the thinking capacity to know.
Okay. So technically that's agnosticism.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. But
that's fair to point out.
So I actually heard a great man say once that science doesn't talk, scientists do, right? Scientists can take a bunch of data and they can analyze it however they want. They can give their opinion on it however they want. But that's just it. It's just evidence. Science is just knowledge and evidence. You know, it's so true. We can have all of the knowledge in the world and still not either fully understand it or give our own opinion on it. And that's the thing. That's what, you know, what we tend to do is we tend to give our own opinion on things. How about the Bible? Have you ever read it before? Like, what do you think of it? You know, it's a pretty popular book. It's the world's best-selling book.
Not cover to cover. I have read parts of it. Like I said, I was raised Catholic, so it was part of my.
I was guessing.
Yeah, so that was part of my upbringing. Kind of more the highlight reel is what we kind of went over. The Gospels and a little bit of the Old Testament. Right. It's particular Genesis, and the Psalms and things like that. I couldn't quote you any of it, but I don't think I could do that with any book.
That's all right.
But yeah, I have read it. I like to think of it as it's a historical book. It was written thousands of years ago, right? So
you're right about the history part. A lot of historians actually use the Bible for Jewish history and Babylonian history.
So it was written in the context of the era, and I also understand that not every author of every book was living contemporaneously. Some people died, and then other books were written, right? Yeah. So you get a little bit of a game of telephone. So there's truth behind some of it. And some of it, I think, is maybe just a little embellished, or maybe not quite, like I said, like a game of telephone. Well, this actually happened, and then he saw it, and he told this other guy, and now they've mixed some of it up. And also some of it just seems inconsistent to me, or just doesn't align with my personal morals. I think, again, because it was written such a long time ago that, like views on slavery were really different than what most people would have on their views on slavery would be now.
Even just with slavery and whatnot, just to point this out, is the way that Scripture goes about it is actually, it's a little different, because in those times, if you owed a debt to a man and you couldn't pay it, you would do it in not a form of slavery, but a form of servitude, right? You would work for so many years, and that's why there was such a thing as the year of Jubilee, right? Say you had 8 years, and the 7th year you just go free. That was the whole point, was like if you owed a debt to the guy and you couldn't pay it in any other way, you would serve him. So that was the actual original idea of slavery. And in the Levitical law, God says that you shouldn't take strangers as slaves. He says, don't do that, because you were slaves in Egypt. So he actually told them not to take slaves. Do you know what the whole summary of the Bible is? Like, say if you could summarize.
Interrupt this because I've got to go. We've got an appointment to make. I was just waiting for it to come out. But
I'm loving your input.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate taking the time to just hear other people's opinions. It's important regardless of what the topic is. So Thank you for doing that.
Well, I had a gift for you. It just so happens to be 2 books of the Bible. So I was going to get into why, but I didn't get to that. So, but yeah, it's funny because I tend to be more on the lines of like scientific and evidence, and I always suggest to people that they watch like Warner Wallace, Lee Strobel, Frank Turek. Those guys are geniuses, and why you can trust the Bible, why it's actually historic, why it's legitimate, why do we believe Jesus died on the cross and all of this and rose from the dead, and there's the amount of evidence that we have outside of the Bible is insane. I never even knew it. Right? I grew up Christian and I never even knew this kind of stuff. So it's just something to think about, That was the whole point, is to get you thinking about, like, where am I going to end up when I die? Well, maybe I'm wrong. So, would you like to take it?
I'm fine. Thank you. I wouldn't want to, use up the paper. I appreciate it.
No, that's fine. No, I appreciate your honesty. So again, great talking to you.
Yeah, you have a good day.
Yeah, you too, man. Man, that was an awesome interview. Honestly, I was kind of on the edge of my seat, even just listening to that. I was like, what am I going to say next? What's he going to say next? And he's had such an open mind too. It was kind of a breath of fresh air. It's just most atheists or skeptics that I talk to don't really think like that. And he was willing to listen to me. Honestly, I hope I got him thinking. And also, I wanted to tell you guys that that was actually the last interview with my old camcorder. I don't know if you've probably seen it before, pictures of it, but that thing is old. So now I'm super excited. I just got 2 interviews left with my phone, and then I'll actually have my really, really fancy ones coming up. I'm certainly excited. So I have a new intro coming, and please watch my content. A lot of my content causes you to engage yourself, and so I just suggest that all of you do that. You actually engage yourself into the content. What I'm trying to say, what these other people are trying to say, maybe they're right, maybe I'm right. I don't know. You should probably actually study for yourself to see who's right. So God bless you all. Thank you for watching this video, and have a nice day.